Hey,
Hey
hey,
Mukesh, how
Kailash.
are you? All good, Mukesh?
Yeah, good, Kailash. How are you?
Good, good. This is Rajesh
I
here.
was not able to hear initially. I don't know. Yeah, now I'm able to.
Hi Rajesh.
Hey Ratnakar.
How are you? Yeah.
Good, good, good.
Hey, Rajesh.
Rajesh, you look totally different.
Yeah, with all the beard, right?
No, yeah. Quarantine look.
Yeah, I know. I mean, no need to shave or anything like that. Saving a lot of time there.
How's the situation in Chennai, Mahesh?
Chennai, there are a lot of cases coming up, Rajesh, but it's getting cured. That's what I heard. I mean, people are also getting cured actually, which is a good thing. The numbers seems to be like in thousands, but not that bad actually. But
Yeah.
more new cases are coming.
But lot of places are still in red area, right?
Correct,
In
correct.
Chennai,
Yeah,
yeah.
Chennai is in red, but
Did they identify all those Tabligis who were missing?
yeah, they found it. Yeah,
Okay, that was the biggest risk.
yeah,
So since if they were identified and their secondary contact is traced, that
correct.
would help.
How is Kerala doing? Kerala, I heard a
It's
lot of things
better.
are better. Yeah,
Yeah,
better,
yeah. It was
recovery.
worse, but now I think
Yeah,
did a great job. I
yeah.
think
I think the CM
administration.
there is doing a great job. I think so, right? I mean, they are.
Most of the states are doing great
Yeah,
job. I
yeah,
think they took much serious than what they are doing here.
correct, correct. Yeah,
Here was the pathetic.
yeah. Here it's uncontrollable. I don't know. Like New Jersey, I don't know. They're going to open. I mean, soon they're going to open everything. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yesterday I was just driving and I saw people without any social distancing. They were
Is it?
wearing mask, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very true.
People are. I don't even. I'm really skeptical about opening everything in the next couple of weeks. I don't know. Like,
okay.
I don't know whether everybody is prepared for it. I don't know mentally as well as.
I'm in a team who are planning for this how to reopen the work. So what they are
Mhm.
doing is they are putting people into three groups A, B, Z,
Okay.
and what they are doing is from means if you are sitting somewhere, they will make sure that 30 feet nobody is sitting, nobody else is going to sit.
I hear that.
So it is 1 in 3 day people are going to come
Oh,
like
okay.
that, and also they are going to make sure that the gloves are placed. They're disinfecting the workplace every day,
Yeah.
making sure that even the cafeteria means things how they distribute everything is controlled.
Okay.
So if we follow it properly, it's okay.
I think more than the office distancing, which will obviously be done, it's the travel part that people are
Yeah.
worried
The
about because
commute
Yeah.
on
is.
the trains, especially.
Yeah, public New York. I don't think it is wise to open because people rely on the public transport.
Because NJ Transit, it'll be packed usually, right? I mean, going to New York.
Okay, so let's get started. It's 5. Let me do the prayer. Sahanavavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome back. I hope and pray that all of you are safe. your family is safe, your extended family is safe, your friends are safe. It's very important. And you're taking care of yourself properly. And one thing I really wanted to mention before we get into the session is it's very important to be emotionally stable and strong, especially during this type of pandemic and difficult crisis time. Even for your immune system to start work properly, that emotional wellness is very important. So yeah, there are so many things missing from our day-to-day operating activities or operating procedures, but we need to make sure that we are finding some other interest like movies or songs or music or reading or whatnot. So there are, you need to find out ways to get yourself cheered up and contented, and always, as I say, like make a problem as an opportunity. This is an opportunity to rebuild your skills, read more, inculcate your reading habits, all that. So this is not an advice, but I thought like this is a great opportunity to make use of that. So before that, we will get into the class or session. Let's offer our gratitude, love, respect, prayers to everybody who is fighting this pandemic for us, healthcare workers, right from health, means starting from healthcare workers to everybody who is contributing to this, like the people who is delivering the groceries for us, people working in the grocery stores, uh, means the people who helps to transport everything. There are so many hidden activities which are happening. People are risking their life and helping us to survive. And being sensitive to that is the Thanksgiving, which we talked in the last week also. So sorry to repeat this every week, but I cannot but to express that gratitude and thank and the gratitude towards all the people, so that we can sit here and talk about all these things. Anybody want to comment, or we can move ahead otherwise?
I mean, 100% second that thought.
Yeah, totally agree.
I really like it that we are starting it off this way.
Yeah, it's I always believe in that positive thinking and positive thoughts. So if every community, if we start building this, we will be more sensitive to people when we, when the post-pandemic scenarios, I was just thinking like the whole operating model of the world will be redefined. It will help us to look at the nature differently. It will help us to set our priorities differently. There could be, I know one millionaire who passed away, like he was working hard to earn these millions, but certain times of life, these millions are useless. So when you live every day, and we don't know how long each one of us are going to live, but even if you live, whatever days you live, try to make it contented and happy. So I'm 100% sure, at least for a short period of time, this pandemic will help us to redefine the operating model, like whether it is physical, social, or emotional. So it's very important. So having said that, let's move on to the doctrine of karma. So if you remember, we were on the 27th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2nd. So we saw that Jatasya he dhruvo mrityu mritam janma mritasya cha. The one who is born will certainly die. Krishna was making a statement of fact. If you don't believe in the absolute reality and your true nature as the Satchidananda Atma, whatever we discussed, still, if you think practically, still there is no need to get over worried on the situations where we don't have control. That was the message. Because there are certain things we have control. We need to worry. We need to make sure that we are doing the right thing to control that part. But when you don't have control over certain things, there is no point in worrying over that, because the worrying can only affect the ability to perform what you have in your hands. So for that, we wanted to understand this doctrine of karma, which is going to help us to understand the entire thing with a holistic model of karma. And second thing I wanted to do was, a lot of people, when I was talking to them, I found that this karma theory is not properly communicated to them, because a lot of people took the karma as fate, and a lot of people took karma as just an excuse. They say that it is my karma, whatever I do, it won't work. So we tried to explain that in the last couple of weeks. What exactly is the theory or the metaphysical model of the karma? So we understood the cause and effect relationship, right? We saw that every action we'll do, it can produce a result, and there is a cause and effect. The result will be produced based on multiple parameters. So the input is multiple, what it means for you to produce a result. And some of these inputs are non-due, and some of these things are adrishta. And depending upon the weightage of these input features, we borrowed the term from statistics, because if you think about that weightage, the result will come accordingly. And we saw that every action we do, it has two types of results. One is drishta phala, and the other one is called adrishta phala. And this adrishta phala is what we call as karma, because drishta phala is immediately what you get, or what is visible, what is available to your sensory perception. Adrishta phala is the unknown result, which can materialize in this life, or it can come in the future life. So that part we saw. And then we saw that depending upon the weightage of this adrishta phala, the result could vary, because sometimes you may get much bigger than what you expected, and sometimes you may get completely opposite than you planned, and sometimes you get exactly as you planned. So these are some of the results of this adrishta phala. And we took some example, and we took the example of a river. That was a very good example. This example comes from a conversation between Yudhishthira and Draupadi in the Vanaparva of Mahabharata. So in that example, the whole theory of karma is very well discussed. We saw that it means there are multiple factors that contribute a result. And if you put that into two major buckets, one is the prayatna, the effort you make, and the other one is the karma. So these two effects. So don't sit back and relax that the karma is going to take care of everything, or karma is going to spoil everything. You can change the effect of karma through your prayatna. But sometimes you feel that it is impossible, because the power of this karma is very high, and a couple of options we discussed for that, right? One is, if you think that it is not possible, if you're not making any progress in spite of your best effort, you can take some time and do that later. That is one thing. And the second thing you can do is prayer. We talked about that power of prayer in the last week, and the way we explained prayer was, prayer itself is a karma. It's an act. It's a conscious, willful act. So when you do the prayer has a drishta phala and an adrishta phala. The drishta phala of the prayer is the immediate freedom or mitigation from the anxiety and the worry. Because if you truly believe in God, if you believe in the power of prayer, what is going to happen? You feel relaxed. I've seen this. This is the science of all these faith healing. A lot of faith healing, what happens? They think that, okay, the God can cure it, and immediately their mind will be relaxed. That in that relaxation response triggered mindset, your own immunity will work. So that's one thing. So if you take the example of that swimmer, what happens? The swimmer, if he is anxious and worried, he cannot swim. It's impossible, because he will lose the game there itself. So the drishta phala of the prayer, or the immediate or seen action of the prayer, is the relief from this anxiety and worry. And there is an adrishta phala for this prayer also, because the adrishta phala of the prayer is being a karma. It will produce an adrishta phala, and that is a positive twist, means to a future action. Only thing we cannot control is that, means we don't know, like which karma it will come as the input, we don't know. But anytime we do consciously good things, whenever we perform an action in line with the dharma, that will be available as punya. And anytime we do contrary to dharma, it will come back as the negative results. So this is what we talked earlier. So we saw that the effect of prayatna, the effect of karma in our life. So today now we have to talk about the final topic. The final topic is the 3 categories of karma we need to talk. And then we need to talk about the types of karma, the karma you can initiate. So we will cover that, and then we can spend some time for the question answers. And any additional questions, we can cover that on Thursday. If you come to our Thursday class, the final 30 minutes we always reserve for question answers. We can do that, or even next Sunday after the Gita class, we can do that. So that's what the introduction. So with that, we can continue. So that the next topic is the 3 classes of karma. So there are 3 major classes of karma. One is called the Sanchita karma. The second one is called the Prarabdha karma. And then there is something called Agami karma. So these are the 3 categories of karma. So let's try to understand each one of that, because that is the final topic. So Sanchita karma literally means it is the accumulated karma. That's it. So all the adrishtas accumulated in all our lives, it is put into this basket. It is called Sanchita karma. Sanchita means it is accumulated. So it is not just coming from this life. It is the sum total of the life, means that all the karmas I have done ever since the creation of my subtle body. Because if you remember, we talked about this extensively in the previous session in another supplementary class, because there are 3 bodies associated with a jiva or a living being. The physical body, which has a birth and death at the time of, means that is what known to us. So that is the first part. And when the physical body dies, the subtle body will migrate to a new body. We saw this in a discussion. And I saw this as a fundamental commonality with all the religion, because the religion stop to exist if you don't believe in the soul which survives the death. If you take Islam, there is a concept of soul. If you take Christianity, there is a concept of soul. If you take a Judaism, there is a concept of soul. If you take all the Indic religions, whether it is Buddhism, Jainism, or Sikhism, everybody has common this concept. The moment if you think that to exist at the time of the death, all the religions stop there. So this is something that common to all the religion, but how it is being interpreted in different religions, there is difference. But the survival of the soul is common to all the religion. So here in our Vedic culture, like whether it is our Hindu, Buddhist, or Jainism or Sikh, and this is called out in all the ancient Tamil literature like Tirukural, Thirumandiram, all these things, the metaphysical model is very similar. So everybody believe in good karma. And what happens is, when the physical body dies, there is a subtle body, and that subtle body will transmigrate into a new physical body. And throughout the life of this cycle called means when the universe was manifested till the universe end, there will be multiple physical body, but the subtle body will continue. And all this time, whatever unused karma will be accumulated in this basket called Sanchita karma. And at the time of the cycle, end of the cycle, when the universe will merge back or unmanifest, what is going to happen? This subtle body, the subtle body which contains this karma, because it is mind, chitta, ankara, everything is there. What is going to happen is the subtle body will be dismantled. A backup of this karma will be taken into another entity called causal body, and that causal body will continue to go to the next manifestation of the universe. At the time of next manifestation, from that backup, a new subtle body will be created, and that subtle body will continue throughout the life of that cycle. So hope this idea is clear to you. What survives the death, what survives the cycle, and what won't get destroyed. So those things are clear, right, earlier. So the Sanchita karma is the basket which collects all these karmas faithfully. So that order of the Ishvara or the God records this karma faithfully is called the intelligent order of the universe, because you can see that intelligent order everywhere in the universe. My favorite example, which I quote again and again in all the classes, is the is the angular momentum of the electron as well as the macro, means the sun and the moon and the stars. If the angular momentum of the electron is slightly high, you can see that the whole electron will go out of the nucleus. And if the angular momentum is slightly low, it will end up in the nucleus. So is the case of the Earth and other planets. So you can see that intelligent order of the universe, everything works so perfectly. Even the entropy, whatever we call it as entropy, which is a measure of disorder, it is part of that order. And that is what we call God. As other than that, there is nothing. Like God is the intelligent order of the universe. So that is one way of looking at God. So that intelligent order of the universe will make sure that these Sanchita karma are properly tracked and monitored. So this is Sanchita karma. So now the second thing is called the Prarabdha karma. So Prarabdha karma is called fructifying karma. When of course these English terms we derived, but it is better to use that Sanskrit term. So Prarabdha karma, what happens is at the time of death, when a living being is about to die, what happens? From the accumulated karma, the accumulated karma is known as Sanchita karma. A portion, a subset is ready, is taken for the fructification for the next life. So as I was explaining in one of the classes based on a query, like let's say that if we have 100 karmas in our Sanchita karma pool, maybe 10 karma will be taken and that is going to fructify in the next life. So the next life, the gati of the jiva, which is the gati of the subtle body, or the direction or the course of action of the subtle body, is determined by this prarabdha karma. So you could see like where I am born, in what way I am born, the environment exposed to me, like all these things will be determined by the prarabdha. And again, that is the intelligent order of the universe. What happens? I need to operate within the constraints of the prarabdha karma, but I do have a choice to change that with my prayatna. So the classic example I would like to call out here is the example I told earlier. Like when you play cards, right? You have no control on what type of cards you got in that particular shuffle. But how do you play with that card is completely in your hand. And I gave you the example also. Some people, even though their hand is a bad hand or a bad set of cards, they can win the game. And some people, even if you get the best set of cards, they make it fail. They will play so intelligently, meaning they will play in such a way that they make themselves fail. Correct? Because look at a lot of people in life, the opportunity they get, if somebody else get that they could have made a wonderful life out of it. So that is our effort. But that is not the topic. The topic is prarabdha karma. So this prarabdha karma, what happens is all the accumulated karma, all the accumulated karma, that means from the pool of Sanchita karma, the portion of the karma that is going to determine the next life is called prarabdha karma. So how do you select? What exactly is the ratio? Nobody knows. So can I say that 10 karma will be, out of that 10 karma, 30% comes from this life, 20% come from the past 5 life, and the next 20% is going to come from the past? No idea. So that is the intelligent order of the universe where we don't have visibility. The only thing that is said by the scriptures is in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked a very good question to Krishna, saying that I put all the effort in this yoga, sincere effort, but at the time of my death, I could not realize the self or the Atman. So what is going to happen to my next birth? Am I supposed to start everything from the scratch? So at that point of time, to answer that confusion, Krishna gives a good answer. He said, right, there is an exception here. If you put sincere effort, if your major focus is one thing in this life, definitely your next prarabdha will have a weightage of what you are doing this time. The example given by Shankara is like, let's say that if you're dedicating yourself for music this life, entirely music, like a Neshudas or a S.P. Balasubramaniam or some good people who means even in the West, who are dedicating their life to music, what you can see like 80 to 90% of their time they are dedicating to music. What is going to happen is that will have a weighted life. You could see it coming out at the age of 5. What is that? There is a new guy, right, in Chennai, like, who plays the keyboard. How can he do that? I was watching his play, the way he played the chords and all, unbelievable. At that age, he can do it, right? So there are so many people. Like, I remember in Kerala, there was a child like Clint. He died at the age of 7 or 8. But the pictures he has drawn at the age of 4, it's unbelievable from where he got all these skills. And hundreds of examples, people who could play tennis means brilliantly without any training initially. So what exactly is that explains? Because it shows that the karma comes from the past. Otherwise, there is no other explanation. So a couple of points here is the Sanchita karma will not affect this life, because whatever Sanchita karma in my part, the current life is affected only by the prarabdha. At the time of this birth, a prarabdha was determined. Let's say that my Sanchita karma has a lot of punyas pending, but that may not have any effect on this life because it's already selected. And prarabdha decides whether one is born as a human or an animal, male or female. All these problems will be determined by the prarabdha. And one potential question you may ask is, if you are born as an animal or a tree, you won't be adding any new Sanchita karma to the Sanchita karma pool, because an animal or means even for a human being, only the willful action, whatever we are consciously doing, is contributing to the Sanchita karma. Otherwise, it won't happen. So if you are born an animal, it will exhaust a lot of negative karma, but when you come back, it will continue your karma cycle. So these are a couple of points. So Sanchita karma and prarabdha karma. Let's go to the third category of karma, agami karma. Agami karma is called expected karma. Another term for this agami karma is called kriyamana karma. The karmas born out of my actions. So in the current life, when you leave your prarabdha, what we are doing fresh actions, because we have the will. We don't have the complete free will, because we are not saying that we have 100% free will. Even the science had shown that we do not have 100% free will, but we do have some free will. If anybody has doubt, read the neurology book, A Brief Tour to Human Consciousness by Dr. Ramachandran. Unbelievably, you can see that you don't have the 100% free will, but you have a certain extent of will is there. So that is what contribute to this agami karma. So when we are doing willful action, what do? They will produce an adrishtam, which is called punya and papa. And this is called agami karma. So agami karmas are basically what you are acquiring in this lifetime or in a lifetime, because the prarabdha is the materialized or the fruitified karma. Sanchita is the global pool of karma. Agami is what we are accumulating in this lifetime. And some of this agami, right? Agami karma means the karma I acquired in this life may fructify in this life. And some may go to the global basket pool, meaning karma pool. So some of the agami karma may fructify this time. And some of the agami karma, what happens? It will go to the Sanchita karma pool. And at the time of my current life, what is going to happen? Whatever agami karma that is not fructified this time, it will go to the Sanchita karma pool. And from that Sanchita karma, what is going to happen? The next prarabdha will be determined based on that universal order of the universe. So these are the 3 classes of karma. I know that this is a lot of theory. There is no way for us to go and verify all these things. But as I said, if you believe something, do you believe to say that everything is in the universe is random? Nobody can say that. That is completely illogical. Everything is predetermined by God. That is also not subjected to believable. So if you believe something more logical, rather than saying that when God created you, your destiny is already written. Then what happens? I don't have to do anything. Just sit quiet, right? If I cannot cross the destiny, that's a problem. So the karma is not fatal, and the karma is not completely saying that everything is random. It takes the middle me the responsibility, right? I am what I am because of my actions or my own contributions. Otherwise, what is going to happen is, do you think that the God is so merciful if he puts the first person as a lucky person and the second person as a very suffering person and the third person as something else, and like blesses him because randomly he look at him? Or it is not like that. So it gives responsibility to myself, and it gives me an opportunity to make my next life or the upcoming years better. So karma theory takes the responsibility from God as a dictator, and it makes me responsible for myself, and it gives me an opportunity. So I know that it cannot be proved, but if you want to believe something better which uplifts you.
Rajesh, quick question.
Yeah.
When we say Sanchita Karma is a global pool,
Mm-hmm.
is it the global pool of mankind, or is it the global pool of your, your subtle body?
Good question. Global pool means it's individually customized to you. So it is
your
pool.
Your entity is it a pool for that?
Yeah. The global word used, maybe too much exposed to computer science. It's like if you are exposed to programming, right? You put a global variable, you can access that from all the functions. So each of these functions can be considered as a particular life. That's it. But that pool is completely customized for myself. Now you asked a good question. So now what is going to happen is, see, the prarabdha of myself, prarabdha of yourself, and then what happens? All that put together, there is a community karma also. So currently what we are going to do is definitely an after effect of the community karma, right? The community karma is formed by for example, this is very logical. You can simply think about this, right? So if you think that, like in a county, everybody is so creative, everybody is so honest, naturally what is going to happen? That county will be, an individual will constitute the society. So if majority of the people in a county is positive and honest, that county itself is considered as an honest county. So at a given point of time, the collective karma of all the individual determines a lot of effects that are happening in the world. So what is happening, this pandemic like this, it clearly shows that it is the effect of a global karma. Means, again, I cannot prove anything, but it is logical. To a certain extent, it is definitely logical. It is not going against the logic. But coming back to your point, Pradeep ji, like it is definitely my karmas. My karma from life after life, it will be stored in a global basket. Global means it is accessible to all my life.
My Sanchita.
It is
my Sanchita.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Rajesh, I have a question.
Sure.
So just like you are talking about the Sanchita Karma is something like it comes from the previous birth or something like that, it gets accumulated. But eventually in our belief is we want no rebirth, right? It has to go, everything should be void at one point. We don't want to accumulate, right? We do good deeds. I mean, when that happens, like this time I do a lot of good things. So it should kind of, I don't want a rebirth next time. So obviously, like if I'm going to be born again and again,
yep,
there is no end to this, right? So
absolutely,
what makes that happen then?
Yeah, that's a good question. So where is the end of this? So let's say that I'm doing theoretically, if you think that you're doing only good karma, still what is going to happen? The good karmas will have some adrishta, which is punyam, and that will be added to the sanchita karma list. So since there is karmas in my sanchita, it will put me to next life. And so if you want me to elaborate a little bit more on this topic, right? I didn't want to go to that level, but since you asked this question, so a human birth, they say, it is always a mixture of punya and papa. Let's say that theoretically your sanchita karma has more punyas, and then the scriptures say that you will born in a different plane of existence where the sufferings are very minimal. That is the place we call in our scriptures, the Hindu scriptures, as heaven. So the heaven is a result of your extremely good karma. And since there are only, means what happens is that prarabdha, which is going to determine the next life, is only pull the punya karmas. And because of that, you will get a birth in a higher plane of existence called Surga. And the problem with the Surga is what? You won't earn any karma, you only exhaust karma. It is going to a vacation in Hawaii with, say, $10,000 going to Switzerland. You will not be allowed to earn because you don't have a work visa. Whatever you do there, you won't earn anything. And eventually what happens, when that karma goes out, you will come back to the next life. So the Surga, likely the other way, like if you have only Papa karma, you will get into another plane of existence, and that is what is called Naraka in our Vedic scriptures. And you don't need to believe all these things. This is a model which explains these things. But coming back to your question, this rebirth, the birth after birth will continue till all these karmas will be exhausted. And technically, how can this karma be exhausted? Because every time you do something, it will accumulate new karma, right? So it's an infinite loop. It goes on and on and on and on. So a couple of things. One is, how do you make sure that your action is not contributing into a karma pool? That is one thing. We are going to see that a little bit later. It is called convert your karma into a yoga. If you perform your karmas as karma yoga, it is not going to make you any negative impression. That is guaranteed. So that is number one. Second thing is, you don't need to exhaust all the karma to get the moksha or the liberation. So what you need to do is, you need to shift your identification, because who is the sufferer here? The subtle body, right? When you identify with the subtle body, that which get the rebirth is the subtle body. So the subtle body, what is going to happen is, it gets bonds to the next life, next life, next life. And this will happen only till you identify yourselves with the subtle body. And what is moksha or the liberation is, you're shifting your identity from the subtle body, physical body, to the unchanging Atma. So when you shift your identity from the subtle body, physical body combination, body-mind complex, to the unchanging Atma, what is going to happen? The karma in that global karma pool is no longer binding you to, means connect with what Pradeep ji was asking earlier, right? That karma pool belonging to the subtle body, and you are no longer identified with that subtle body. So what is going to happen? That linkage to your global karma pool will not happen, and that will stop the rebirth. Again, this is, we cannot prove it. This is all metaphysical. This is very theoretical, but this is what the scripture says, and it is very much, means at least it is not against the logic. Not, it's beyond logic, but it is not definite logic. Again, to answer your question is, the rebirth happens only till you identify yourselves with the subtle body. And when you shift your moksha means, or the liberation means, you're shifting your identity from the subtle body to the unchanging Atma. And when you shift your identity to that unchanging Atma, the karmas that is belonging to the subtle body is no longer going to affect you at all. This is what happens.
Rajesh ji, this is Kailash here. Hari Om.
Yeah, Hari Om, Kailash.
One question and one clarification.
Yeah.
The question is, you partially answered this as a community-based karma, but my karmas, how are they going to affect others around me? And will they cause karmas for others as well, like as in a family, for example, or a group of friends, for example, or a group of souls, for example, who are technically born again and again, right? How does that affect each other?
Right. Good question. Right. Again, your karma will not cause pain to anybody else. If somebody does that, it is unfair to you. Means unfair to you, right? If I am being punished for my father's mistake, that may not is a good global decision. So our scriptures are very clear in that. Means the reason why I was born to that father is maybe due to my karma, because I am deserved to, because for example, let's say that the other day somebody was telling the father was trying to become an Ambani or a Bill Gates, and he inherited a lot of debts, and the son has to bear that, right? So technically you can say that the father's karma affected this son. But what happens? Why I was born to that father's son? It is due to my karma. So what happens is, they call it as sadrishya niyamaha. So what happens is, the like means it will be complementary. You are not punished because of your father's karma, but you may apparent to be get affected by the father's action. But the reason why you are born to that father is your prarabdha requires that type of life. So that's the explanation.
Okay.
Otherwise, what is going to happen? I will start to blame my father. So typically what we do is we don't take ownership of anything, and we don't take the responsibility to change our life. So here, what I'm saying is that, yeah, I might be going through some pain now. It might be for my betterment, and it is giving me an opportunity, right, to change myself. I can do something now, which is going to make me a better life and improve me later. So that is the best logical explanation I have come across. And by the way, this explanation is done by Swami Vivekananda. This was one of the query asked to the World's Parliament of Religion. And the way he explained is, he explained to a group of Caucasian American intellectuals. He said, like, I would not insult your intellect by asking you to believe that I'm suffering because of the action done by somebody else.
The clarification I wanted to give was about the previous question about rebirth, one about moksha, essentially, right? Moksha, the word itself, it means moha kshaya. So whenever your ambition and your vasanas are zero, you have no intention to enjoy anything that is in the world anymore, or you have vairagya towards everything in this world, wherein you are you're neutral. You are neither favorable nor unfavorable towards anything. Is when, and then the second part of it is, you don't want to be reborn. So Saul decides not to be reborn. Is when most of the scriptures say that you are not going to be reborn, and the corollary to that is, at the last moments of your life, if you have no attachment, you are not going to be reborn. And towards that, they recommend that you constantly chant the name of the Lord, and that is because you need to get used to having name of the Lord on your lips, rather than thinking of your children or your parents or anything around your business or your work or friends or whatever attachments you have. Taking name of the Lord is a better exit strategy, is what they say, for not to be reborn. So as you said, the karmas are endless, positive, negative, they are neutral. So it is the birth.
We have a means to break the chain, right? So that's what you are. We have a means to break this chain and get out of it. And just wait for a few sessions. When we go to chapter 8, we are going to talk about this. That's the theme of chapter 8. And there are a lot of misunderstanding also on, as you said, like moha chaya happens when you are not controlled by these karmas. So how do you, moksha, there is a technical term, it has a meaning. The implied meaning or the meaning of moksha is freedom. Freedom from suffering, right? So more than rebirth, why we are afraid of rebirth? Not afraid, why we wanted to avoid the rebirth? We are not afraid of getting into a new life, but this life we will be suffering. We wanted to put an end to all the suffering. So it's a positive connotation. It is not that we wanted to get something negative. And the scriptures gives us answers for all these things. And there are a lot of misinterpretation. One of the, I don't want to cover that today, but when we go to the next sessions, I will tell that story. One of the most confusing story people quote is to the point you were talking earlier. A lot of people think that they can do all the nonsense in their life, and at the last moment, they can chant the name of the God. Easy, get away from life. And such people quote a story from Bhagavata called Ajamalopakhyanam. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Ajamalopakhyanam tells that, right? Ajamala was he was a good person initially. He did a lot of good things. He studied the scriptures and everything, but in between he got corrupted. And he did more mistakes that anybody can even think of. That much mistakes he has done. But at the deathbed, what happened was, at the deathbed, he was about to die. And he saw these Yamakinkaras coming and get hold of him. These are all, Puranas are all symbolic representation. Okay. So these Yamakinkaras are about to come. So he was afraid, in fact. Because of that fear, he called his son Narayana. His son happened to be Narayana. He was not calling Lord Vishnu. He was calling his son. Suddenly what happened? The Vishnu Prityas came in, and there was a big argument between these Vishnu, the Kinkaras, the soldiers of Vishnu versus these Yamakinkaras. And finally, the Vishnu Kinkaras didn't let him go, and they took him to Vaikuntha. So, quoting this story, a lot of people think that you can do any nonsense, but at the time of the last time of your birth, just call it. First of all, they don't read the Bhagavatam properly. And you know what happened in Bhagavatam? This is just a dream. This guy was dreaming. And after that, that dream gave him a new vision. It is said that he went to Haridwar and started practicing all these scriptural practice. So no shortcut like that. You cannot just do that, as Kailashji said. You have to consciously put effort. Otherwise, it won't happen. But that is just by the way. I'll tell or keep all these stories for 8th chapter. We have to understand what happens to death and how the soul moves to the next body, etc. The whole 8th chapter is Krama Mukti. All those things are discussed. Like it talks about the different lokas. We have to understand the symbolism of that, because don't think that there is a Brahma Loka and there is a Deva Loka. And Devaloka, you can see that always there is a dance. All these serials, that's what they show, right? The moment you show glittering dresses, that's not the thing. It's all symbolisms. So we have to understand that in detail, but let's reserve that for the 8th chapter. But thanks, Kailashji, for that clarification and additional points.
Rajji, I had a question on moksha again.
Yeah.
What you were mentioning was one of the ways to attain moksha is to lose identification with the physical body and the subtle body, and identify yourself with the Atma, unchanging Atma.
Right. So, but one clarification, I didn't say that one of the way, I said the way.
The way. The only
way is shift your identity.
From the individual to Atma.
Yeah.
My question is, how do you practically do that? You will lose, if you lose identification with your physical body and your subtle body, I mean, will you not cease to exist anymore?
Not at all, because you will use your physical body and subtle body as a tool. So let me say one example. Let's say theoretically you get identified with your car, a BMW 7 Series. What is going to happen? You'll drive the car, but you take yourself as the car. So if there is a dent happened in the car, it's not a dent on my gadget. It is a dent on me, right? And when the car's end of life is coming, I'll think that I cease to exist. So I keep my identity entirely with the body. So when you realize what is self-realization, well, self-realization means shifting your identity from being limited physical subtle body to that infinite Atma. And that cannot happen now, because remember, we talked about in this Gita also, like you have to make sure that you're ready for it. And what you have to employ appropriate means to do that. So we are talking about moksha. It is the highest goal of life. So it requires a lot of practice and it requires a lot of steps. So you have to do karma yoga. You have to do upasana yoga. Without that, don't even think about moksha. It won't come, because you need a pure mind and a stable mind to pursue or shift your identity. And once you do that, you can see that you will be operating more efficiently in this world than right now when you do this.
So Rajesh, I have a question too.
Yeah.
So when you say identity, like for example, the car, so it can come even as a mom, right? Even that would be an identity.
Right, but the thing is, you are that doesn't stop you from loving your kid as a mom, right? So you're
Yeah.
doing a role play, right? So you have while you are you have to perform everything as a mom. You have a duty. That is what the Karma Yoga is going to emphasize you, right? You have to do the right things based on your dharma, and this because, for example, I'll give you one example. A classic example quoted by Krishna itself, not Krishna but the Shankaracharya itself. Like, let's say that if you are too much attached to your child, too much attached, what happens? If you think that somebody is coming, let's say that a car is coming and your son is in the road. If you are too much attached, you cannot even move. But if you are operating under your sense, you will be able to go and pick up the child. That is the difference. So it will help, it will give you to act freely. Otherwise, the attachment, what is going to happen is it will put an inertia, it will put a constraint from what we need to do at a given point of time. This is such an important topic. Don't think that these, when something happens to the child or anything, if the mom falls sick down under the tension and pressure, such a mom cannot help the child, and such a mom cannot do the duty properly. Loving means you are frozen. That is not what is being taught here. You have to get that freedom in action. This is what we call nishkama karma or naishkarmya. The freedom in action, not renouncing all the action. A lot of people think that renouncing all action, you're free. Not at all. It means you have freedom in action. Freedom in action means you have the skills and ability to do the right thing at the right time. And that is what this identity is going to give you. Look at Vivekananda. Means he didn't stay a single minute quiet. He was one of the greatest master we had. He was working hard. And every master you can see in their life, how they were operating. And that didn't prevent them from stop loving anybody. But because wherever this attachment or this obsession is there, attachment, I'm not talking about the attachment. I'm talking only about the obsession. Obsession is not love. Prema is love. Prema means when I'm obsessed with for example, if it means with my child, what happens, Shashi? Like, if your child didn't call you, what is going to happen? You get upset. And that itself is good enough. For example, if the child is not marrying the person I am telling, even though the guy is good, but if it is not my choice, I get hurt. So this obsession is the biggest single point of failure for most of the people. True love means you are loving your child unconditionally. And this space, because that space is pretty much required for you to operate properly. And this practice is going to give you that. Otherwise, what is going to happen? There are moms, I know that if at all there is a small cold, means I was talking to somebody yesterday also, like somebody was so worried that her child is not able to go to the park. And I told her, your child do not have corona, right? You're getting salary every day. So such people do not see the blessings they have, and they will pick up one reason. And such people always prefer to suffer. This is a big topic. This is coming more and more properly, but let's come back to our topic of karma. So at least is these three categories of karmas are clear.
Rajesh, I have a question.
Sure.
It's how is these connected to causal body and the Sukshma Sharira? So during the time because of the causal body, the Sukshma Sharira is taking the rebirth. Now, how is this Prarabdha Karma connecting to that?
Correct. Okay, that's a good thing, Gina. So what is going to happen is, where exactly the Sanchita Karma is stored, it will be always linked to the Sukshma Sharira, right? Means especially when the world is manifested, the Sanchita Karma and the Agami Karma will be tracked, and it will be connected to the subtle body. So let's say that at the time of death, so what is going to happen? Your new physical body will be determined by the subset of karma, which is the Prarabdha Karma, taken from the Sanchita Karma linked to my subtle body. So what happens to the physical body at the new birth, it is totally determined by the Prarabdha, right? So that is point number one. That is clear. And second point is what is going to happen to the subtle body. Let's say that, let's take my 10 life back. So at the birth 5, the subtle body is the same, but the attributes of the subtle body will be changed, right? So earlier, that subtle body was related to the Sanchita karma pool. The type of karma in that Sanchita karma pool is totally changed. Because from that 5 birth, a lot of karmas got exhausted and new karmas got added. And what is the components of subtle body? The subtle body is the 19 component. It is your mind, it is your chitta, it is your ahankara. Those are the major things. The way the ahankara constitutes, it is determined by the type of vasanas you have. And as the vasanas changes, the ahankara, the state of the ahankara, the way you identify yourself, it varies. So the subtle body evolves, but it won't completely redo. It means in a kalpa or in a cycle, because it's a state transition happens, but the physical body will be dismantled and recreated. And as far as the causal body is concerned, the causal body is a backup of the subtle body. That's it. So the means whenever the subtle body changes, the causal body will be backed up. And at the time of the cycle, what is going to happen? The subtle body will be dismantled, and that backup will continue to the next kalpa.
Thank you.
Once again, the subtle body state transition happens, because earlier the characteristics of that subtle body was the 100 karma, and out of that 90 karma was papa and 10 karma was punya. So let's say that on the 5th life, 50 karma was papa, 50 karma was karma, punya. So what happens? The state has changed. Even though it is the subtle body, it has changed. Let's say that on the 9th birth, 90 karma was punya and 10 was papa. Again, the same subtle body, it got purified. It became better. That's it. Okay, so that's what it is. A diagram is given. It means the same thing. And now the karmas of the enlightened person. So what is going to happen? I already answered this. At the time of the realization, you don't identify with your body, and the identification is established with Atma. So what is going to happen? He will not have any doership or enjoyership, because he already connected with Atma, and he will not acquire any new agami karma. Let's say that at the age of 30, somebody got realized, and the prarabdha demands to leave him till 80. What happens? The next 50 years, he won't accumulate any agami karma. And what happens? The Sanchita karma will not impact him in the next life, because he is no longer identifying with the subtle body. So for a Jivan Mukta Purusha, what happens? What is going to impact him is only the prarabdha, because the prarabdha has already determined. So this life, how he is going to move, it is completely determined by the prarabdha. So what happens is, like a Ramana Maharshi, who is a realized person, and a Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who is a realized person. What happened to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa? Everybody knows that, right? Cancer. The worst form of cancer he had. So he had to suffer. Even after getting into a Jivan Mukta Purusha, he had to suffer. It is because of his prarabdha. So the good example given by Swami Chinmayananda is, it's like a fan. The power is cut off, but the fan will rotate for some more time because of that momentum created by the prarabdha. That's a good example. So a person who gets enlightened, while he lives, what is going to happen? He is no more acquiring any agami karma, and the Sanchita karma is not going to determine his next life, because he do not have a next life, but the prarabdha karma is continuing to impact him till the end of that lifetime. Again, this is what the scriptural explanation. Now the next thing is, yeah, so once he dead, right? So the first part is called Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means you got enlightened while you're alive. So Videha Mukti, this topic will come on the 8th chapter of Gita. What is going to happen to that person after death? Because he will not have any new birth. So current life, he will suffer, but there won't be any new birth. So there is no reason for the jnani to acquire a new birth, And this is called Videha Mukti. At the time of his death, his identification would be with Atma. That's it. And he won't reborn again. And this self-knowledge, the Jivan Mukti and the Videha Mukti happen. While the Mukti, while you're alive, is called Jivan Mukti, and what happens to that person at the time of death is called Videha Mukti. These are some of the other topics. A couple of more topics. I may have to take 10 minutes more maximum, so we'll stop it quickly. And while the conscious action or the willful action is going to create karmas, there are different types of action you can do. The scriptures talks about, and these actions are both there in the Vaidya karma and the Laukika karma. Vaidya karma means whatever you do in the world as transaction, that is simulated or modeled or represented through a ritual in Vedas. All the rituals are like that. So you can see the first category of karma is called Nitya karma. That means your regular actions. You're getting up, you're brushing, you're bathing, you're eating food. All that are the Laukika Nitya karmas. Whereas to simulate that, in the ancient Vedic time, they prescribed some daily rituals like Agnihotra or some Samkhya Vandana. All these are Nitya karma. It emulates the day-to-day actions. So that is one category of karma or the type of karma. The second karma is called Naimitya karma. That means it is triggered with a nimitta. For example, somebody dies, meaning we have to go and see them, right? So there are special rituals if you go to the Vaidya karma. So for example, you do some rituals at the time of the marriage. At the time of death, you do some ritual, or yearly you do the Shraddha karma. So when somebody is sick, you go and see him in the hospital. That is an example of the Laukika Naimitya karma. So this is what it is. And then the third willful actions are called Kamya karma. Some actions we do to fulfill our desires. For example, I wanted to visit, say, Switzerland. So I will plan for it. It is not a Naimitya karma. It is not a Nitya karma. I have a desire. For example, I would like to have a big house. So I need to put effort. I need to have a desire to get a luxury car. All these things are Kamya karma. It is Laukika Kamya karma. And there is a Vaidika means of that. And there are certain rituals prescribed in scriptures. For example, if you need a child, like you do Putra Kameshti, you do all these type of dhana for becoming rich. There is a ritual. Whether these rituals will work or not, I have no idea. That is not what the purpose is. They define these rituals to accomplish a result called Kamya karma. And then called Nishitha karma. There are certain actions which are under the dignity of a human being. The thing is, you don't want to do anything. This is what Vyasa tells in Mahabharata. One simple definition. You don't want to do anything to others. Can you fulfill it? Which you don't want from others. You don't want to get cheated. So you don't want to cheat anybody else. You don't want to be yelled at. So you won't yell at anybody. So all that you want to get loud. So what you have to do? You have to give it. So Nishitha karma is that actions which is below the human dignity. And then finally, the Prayaschitta karma. Prayaschitta karma means, we already talked about this, right? So the adrishta of action, if I know that I committed a mistake, I should not have done that. It happens. To error is human. Like under the situation, circumstances, I would have made a mistake. So what do I do? Because that mistake is going to give me an adrishta karma. So how do I mitigate that? There is no way, once the action is done, it is gone out of my hand. The karmic impression will be there. The only way you can do is, you can do a prayaschitta karma. And sometimes what is going to happen is, the prayaschitta karma will reduce the effect of that karma. How? The example I gave was the best example. Shock absorber. The shock will be still there, but there will be something to cover or mitigate the impact. So Kailash ji, you asked last week, what are all the type of prayaschitta karma? So the scriptures talk about 9 types of prayaschitta karma you can do. So the first one is called the public confession. You tell that person openly, or tell to somebody that I did a mistake. That's one of the good prayaschitta karma. You know, it requires a lot of courage and conviction and strength to do that. A lot of people won't do that. For example, if you made a mistake, your child, go and tell that, sorry, I did a mistake. It was a mistake. I should not have yelled at you. And if you realize that I did a mistake to my spouse, go and tell her or him that I did a mistake. It was, you know, that if you do that, that itself is going to take care of a lot of things properly. Anutapa, repentance. So that is the second thing. Let me enumerate this thing. Then the third one is very interestingly, they say pranayama. Pranayama is a good means of prayaschitta karma. The reason is it will impact your stress level, and that's exactly what the scriptures are calling out. So certain pranayama practices, if you do, along with this public convention, and like just say that repeating certain resolution, I won't do this, I made a mistake, but I won't do it, and you repeat that for a certain period of time. And that is, it's a positive affirmation. Don't put you down. It is just say that, yeah, it was just determined by something or some situation, and I won't do that. That is a repetition. There are a certain way of doing it. One of the days I can explain all those things. Then tapas, that is another thing. Tapas means you're making a determination. For example, like there are so many things. Wet clothes. Some people wear wet clothes. Some people skip one of the food they like for some time, and some people say sleep on ground, etc. The repetition is, for example, I may repeat the Mrityunjaya mantra for 100 times. That is, I forgot to tell that. So that is also one option. The next one is homa, like a fire sacrifice, properly done. Not a priest is gone called and you just don't pay attention. That won't work. So if you do a fire ritual with proper bhavana, that is good. And then japa, you chant a mantra, not a repetition, like you pray. For example, the greatest thing they do is Rudra. Rudram is considered as a big prayaschitta karma. Then dana, like for a good cause, you are doing some charity, taking care of that. And then vratas, like restricting diet. It is a little bit conflicting, means same as that of the other constraint. But for example, you restricting the diet. Then tirtha, like you go to some pilgrimages. So these are some of the prayaschitta karma called out in the scripture. This is called out by the Dharma Shastras. So these 9 things. It is really interesting how much detail they have gone there. So there are 2 things. One is you everything is for you, right? You try to help the impacted person. For example, if you cheated his money, you may have to give it back. So that is one aspect. Second thing is you're trying to discipline yourself properly so that this will not happen later. So that's also another purpose. So this, yeah.
Just to repeat, the intention of prayaschitta karma is to reduce or mitigate the effect of papa karmas, right?
Correct.
Okay, so let's say you're in a situation that you're facing a lot of hardships in life, a lot of suffering in life, but you're doing a lot of self-analysis, and you have no idea why that is happening to you. You feel that you have not cheated anyone. You feel that knowingly at least you have not done anything wrong. Maybe unknowingly you would have done something, but then you have no clue about that because you did not do it deliberately.
Yep.
So then what should you do? What should such a person...
that is not prayaschitta karma, right? Prayaschitta karma means in this lifetime, I know that I made a mistake. So prayaschitta karma is for that. And now coming back to your question, you know that nothing is working for you. And there are some times everybody had felt that. I had that time. I know that.
Clueless, yeah.
In spite of my best effort, if I do something, if I want to go north, I see that the wind will be taking me to the exact opposite direction or different direction. So that is the effect of my past life karmas, right? So at that point of time, I already gave the solution prescribed by the scriptures, prayers. And see, don't move away from dharma. Like even if you face the hardships in life, don't move away from dharma, because committing to dharma is going to make your future adrishta punyas. That is point number one. Point number two is do the prayers. Prayers means surrender to that Almighty who can help me, right? The prayer has two purposes. One is drishta phala is immediate stress relief, and adrishta phala is earning punya. And prayaschitta karma also, it is a brishta phala is there. It will make me feel better if I did the right thing. For example, if you had done a mistake to a person, if you had gone and told the story, meaning sorry, or at least accepted it, it will give you some peace of mind. Second thing is what? That is also an action. The prayaschitta karma is also an action which will earn an adrishta for the future, and that adrishta will come and mitigate. These are scripturally defined solution. Again, all these are disciplines and process to refine us as a human being, because being a human is a special privilege, and being a human, you have to commit yourself to dharma. 100,000 verses of Mahabharata is written on one topic. What is the topic? Dharmam chala. At the end of that, Vyasa tells, I wrote this 100,000 verses just to communicate one message. Dharmo rakshati rakshita. If you protect dharma, dharma means not religion. That is not the intent here is. Dharma means the natural order of things. For example, you have a dharma towards your body, physical dharma, social dharma, right? So everything dharma has to be followed. So a human birth, the greatest thing you have to do is understand dharma, because a lot of time dharma itself is not properly understood. Yes. A lot of people are confused what needs to be done at a given point of time. And the scriptural study, especially the itihasas, are meant to do that. Ramayana and Mahabharata especially. So if you go through the life of Rama independently, not being critical, not putting your judgment, you could see that how Rama was following dharma. Ramo vigrahavan dharma. Rama was an embodiment of dharma. And I told this story. Who told this first time? Maricha. So we will see these things later, but commit to dharma, lead a prayerful life. Meaning when you pray, it is so much powerful. Like you can do a prescribed prayer like a Rudram or thing. And if you don't know how it's the Sanskrit, if you don't know the complex Vedic rituals, you don't need anything to converse with God. Just speak in English or Hindi or Bengali or whatever language you have. Just speak freely to God, and He can understand all these language. There is a Malayalam movie I watched the other day. So one guy was a Christian, and he thought that if you think in Malayalam, the God will not understand. Suddenly he get a message saying that I know all the language. So just speak any language. God knows your heart. No formality is required. He is your loving father or mother or brother or sister. It doesn't matter. So this is what I mean. What I tried to do was these things are spread in different scriptures in different level of details. So what we tried to do was we consolidated everything into one discussion. This is a holistic discussion of karma. So we understood what is a karma, the cause and effect relationship. We understood what is punya, papa, drishta, adrishta, how a karma impacts to the result. We talked about the influence of karma and prayatna. And we went through some of the verses by Yudhishthira and Draupadi. And we found some interesting classification, dicing and slicing of karma. Categories of karma we saw, the prarabdha karma, sanchita karma, agami karma, and then different types of karma one can initiate. We saw that there is a nitya karma, nainitya karma, kamya karma, prayaschitta karma, nishiddha karma. We saw that. And we saw that every karma has a laukika counterpart and a vaidika counterpart. And these things are misinterpreted a lot. It is, for example, I'll tell you just one more story. I'll tell you and stop there. before Shankaracharya starts commenting the Bhagavad Gita, he tried to answer these Purvapakshis. Purvapakshis means somebody who believes that rituals can do everything. So Shankaracharya is known for his confrontation with these Purvapakshis. So before starting the commentary of Gita, he gives, and I told you, Shankaracharya's style was, when he go and try to defeat or argue with somebody, he first explain what is their belief system in a manner satisfactory to them. So he get an endorsement for them saying that you understood our theory properly. Then he try to answer. That is his style. It's a best style. So he tells, some people used to quote Gita and say that, okay, you can do animal sacrifice because it is for a yajna, it is permitted. So he confronts that and say that this is ridiculous. So like that, there is these karmas are misinterpreted a lot. So a lot of superstitions were performed. Every culture it is there. So let's understand the script, what exactly is the scripture tells, not what I want to believe, rather than what Krishna is trying to teach. So this is good, and we can put all your questions in the group. We can pick up and answer one by one. So I'm glad that we did this topic. It's a diversion, but it's an important topic.
So Rajesh, for this Prayaschitta karma, the 9 things, is this from Yudhishthira only, or is this from?
No, this is from Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastra is a literature given to us later point of time. You don't have to restrict with these 9 ones. I feel that at least I feel if I made a mistake, I should go and talk to that person and admit my mistake. That itself is good. And if I can do something to materially or physically mitigate something, do it. And then do the prayers and make sure that I won't do that again. Even I may slip next time, but I will continue my effort until I get succeeded. See, to error is human. That is understood. And continuous improvement is our goal.
Rajesh, one more thing. You mentioned about the willful action. That what is getting into Sanchita karma. What about the opposite?
Yes. No, actually it is the willful action, meaning if you are doing something without knowing it. Willful means I intended to do that. For example, if I walk, if I step over an ant, and if that ant gets killed, that won't affect me. Means that's not a karma. Whereas I saw an ant, by pleasure I hit and kill him. That's a willful act. So that's the difference. So the adrishtam, it may come, but the adrishtam is mainly contributed by the willful action, because willful action only have the kartrutva bhavana, the sense of doership, because other when I didn't intend to do that. Only when I have that sense of doership, it will have a karmic effect as per the scriptures. Otherwise, it's not fair, right?
Got it. Yeah.
So from my perspective, it is very logical, this thing. I could not find any hole. A long time I tried to put something breaking here. It's very well designed. The thing is that we cannot do everything, but at least it's fair game.
Yes.
Not that, because one question which used to bother me as a child is this definition of this fate. People say that you cannot, a creation hack has no right. Especially my Christian friends used to say that you cannot question the will of the creator. He can decide, like there should be flowers and there should be some ugly smell flowers in a plant. If it is creator's will, so if he decide, he will make you a bad flower. That's not good. That's not a good explanation. That's not that attribute seems to be good for a dictator, but not the all-loving God, right? So that's why more than believing in God, you have to understand God. Have you seen everywhere in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna telling Arjuna, you should believe me? Not at all. You won't see that. And you could not see that in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. You won't see that in Brahma Sutra. You won't see that in Bhakti Sutra even. That you should believe me or else you'll go to hell.
So Rajaji, as you were saying, the goal is to lead a dharmic life.
Correct.
And live your life in accordance with dharma.
Yep.
But one problem with that is dharma is subject to interpretation.
Correct. Exactly. That's what I was saying. That is why you're studying scriptures. You are studying scriptures and you're doing what is correct for you and what is the right thing. And everything will be automatically happens. If you put one step, if you consciously try to commit to dharma, mind you, if you consciously put effort to commit to dharma, God will put 2 units of effort. When you put 1 unit, God will put 2 units, and you will automatically see that you will be committed to dharma down the line. You will see that things will happen magically and you will be committed to dharma. But the problem is I compromised on dharma on a lot of cases. That is where it happens. And please don't, let's say that it is going to be very difficult. No, committing to the dharma is not very difficult. You don't want to do. That's why the karma yoga, when we go to the karma yoga, Krishna tells a very, very simple technique to commit to the karma yoga. Karma yoga is a dharmic lifestyle. The simple definition is avoid tamasic actions. It's okay if you perform the rajasic action. That is the beauty of karma yoga, right? Rajasic action means I am the sole beneficiary of my action, but I'm not cheating or knowingly I'm not cheating or hurting anybody. That's all rajasic action. Tamasic means I am the beneficiary, but I'm fooling and cheating other people or making other people suffer. That is the what do you call the tamasic karma. Sattvic karma is what? You may or may not be the beneficiary. You may be a beneficiary, but definitely it is benefiting other people. What Krishna is saying is that 80% of your action would be rajasic. I know that, but make sure that you are including that 20% of swatik actions. And what exactly is that swatik actions? He goes to the level and tell you that you have to follow Pancha Mahayajna daily basis. So we'll see this in detail. So right now, if I can argue that I don't know the dharma, I don't know, it's very difficult. Can you follow this Pancha Mahayajna and follow the simple definition of proper work? The first step is make sure that the work or the karma I do is proper, and then change your attitude, shift your attitude to proper attitude. If I follow this one practice, that itself is going to make a lot of difference. So we'll see in the 3rd chapter, 4th chapter, 5th chapter, this is the theme.
Hey Rajesh, one quick question. I don't know whether it's relevant or not. There are some, at least in the myth or something like that, they always say there is only 7 life for a human being. Is there anything like a
no scriptural
mention that actually there
not
is?
at all? It could be infinite, potentially infinite, because if it is 7, those type of things are coming, right? So it's not any scriptural validation for that.
Okay.
For example, if you go to these, even see here, this part is completely common to most of all the Indian schools, whether it is Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Samkhya, Yoga, Vedanta, or the Shaiva theory of Tamil Nadu, everything this is common. You can see that. So in one of the stories in Bhagavata, so one sage was telling how many births you need to have. And he was showing that banyan tree, and he was saying that how many leaves are there times 100 times or 100,000 times that many births. So it doesn't matter, right? So you are continuously improving and just submit that to the universal intelligence or the intelligent order of the universe. It's beyond my control. And one thing you see later in the Bhagavad Gita is also restrict your worry to what I can control. I see this as one of the most important practical advice for any human being. We worry always about things we do not have any control, and we don't do anything where we have control. And what we don't have is a correct understanding of what I can change and what I cannot change. And this is beautifully expressed by one of the Christian, it's like it was popularized by a priest, but the whole thing came out from a South American culture. It is called Serenity Prayer. Any other direct questions to this topic?
So, Rajaji, you mentioned, like it's a continuously improving process.
Mm-hmm.
Is that guaranteed, or does that depend on our karma?
It depends on your karma. Of course, it is depending upon your karma. If you want, you can go down far easily, right? Like if my conscious actions, look at some of the actions some people does. Look at these dictators. Like, I don't know whether it is true or false, but I heard that in some countries, when they dictated corona infection, they killed the people. I don't know whether it is true or false, but assume that if that is true.
Of course.
And I mean, you can see like what happened in ancient world history, consciously killing people. Some, look at Hitler, look at this Nazi theory, look at these Mao Zedong, Stalin, all these people, how many people they have killed. Look at our own culture, such a great culture. How many times we insulted that culture by following this caste system. Look at how many godsmen. They wear the orange robe and cheats people and rape them and take advantage of that. Do you think that that is going to evolve them, make them evolve? Absolutely not. And I feel that those who wear these holy dresses, whether it is the Catholic child abuse or the Hindu monks, means you have so many examples, right? So even means you had these Swami Nityananda story and all those funny stories. And if you go to Rishikesh, you see a bunch of bad apples. What they are doing is bad karma, and it is going to affect them. See, wearing an orange robe or a Christian priest's robe or a Muslim person's robe doesn't make anybody saint or like special. It's their karmas. Karmas constitute everything, like the willful actions. That is what is going to help. You heard the story, right? There was a Bhagavata Pravachan guy and a prostitute were neighbors. So after death, this guy happened to go to hell and this lady happened to go to heaven. And this guy got so mad with God and he asked what happened. God said, right, while you were doing the pravachan, your mind was completely on her house. And while she was doing there, she was listening to your pravachan. So that's the story. So yeah, more to come. Anybody who read Thirukurals, you can read a lot about karma in that Thirukurals. There are a lot of Kurals related to karma. One day we will discuss that. So it's beautiful theory. Okay, so we took some extra time. So we will go back to Bhagavad Gita from next Sunday. We will go back to the verse 28, 28 to 38. We will see arguments from materialistic or worldly perspective. And from the verse 38, we gets into yoga part. So the first part is known as Samkhya, which talks about the knowledge. And then we go to the yoga. So that is what we'll do. A couple of announcements. So this Thursday, we are starting a new textbook. The study called Atma Bodha. It's talk about the knowledge of the self. I think Rajesh is about to send an email. Please join, invite your friends, because this is such a wonderful study. We are learning about Atma. It's very interesting topic in Vedanta. Anything else? Any such questions? This karma was asked me by so many people. That is why we did this. So any such topic in Vedanta, if you want a discussion, we can do that once in a while. So, yeah.
On Thursday, is it at 8 o'clock, Rajesh?
8:30. We made it to 8:30 because we wanted the few, means if anybody is interested from India, it's 6 a.m. for them. So if anybody is Friday 6 a.m. If anybody wants to join, they can also join. 8:30 to 9:30. It is Zoom. 60 verses are there. We may do 18 sessions. We will cover it up, and then we are going to Isha Upanishad because this is the real Vedanta. So we'll do it in a very, very simple way. So now I'm confident that we can do Zoom. That is, we were talking earlier, like the biggest blessings of Corona is it opens new possibilities. Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. Any comments? Anything else? Okay, wonderful.
She beautifully explained the law of karma and the repercussions of every action that we take or don't take. Absolutely beautifully explained. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you, Kalashi. That's nice to hear. So please.
Beautifully explained.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a logic now behind it. Earlier, it was more like karma is just a thing. Now we know logically what is there. So
glad that everybody liked it, but it has to be looked at in a holistic way because otherwise you won't get the end-to-end picture. And most of the times when we do the classes, we get chance to talk about a piece of karma. Without understanding the end-to-end picture, you will not get it right.
What I like the most is, like, you know, this is a knowledge of hope, of optimism, and positivity.
Exactly. That's what a lot of people, they take karma as fate. And that's why I was spending one whole day last week. The example I really love is that river example. It's brilliant. So actually we talk about one book every week, right? So I wanted to introduce one book, which is none other than the Mahabharata. So I got a beautiful translation. It is by one Bengali. It's known as Krishna Mohan Ganguly.
Yes.
His 100,000 verses are available in Amazon. It's for $1.99. You can get it. I started reading it. Then only I realized. So I was thinking, like, I will finish, say, 2,000 verses per year.
What is the book again?
It's the Mahabharata by Vyasa. So then I realized, like, if I finish 2,000 verses in a year, it will take 50 years for me to complete it.
I know.
So humanly impossible. How can somebody write this? It's just. But this book has 7,000 pages. But the way I was trying to study was to read the Sanskrit words and link this. That's why it's taking more time. Just to read the story, it's easy. But I'll bring up more and more good points from Mahabharata. So I started reading that. So at least one parva I will cover 1 year. Even then it is going to take 18 years. But
so Rajaji, is that a physical book or an ebook?
Yeah, physical book is there, ebook is there. The ebook is $1.99. Physical book is they cannot sell it.
$199 or $1.99?
$1.99 you get the ebook in Kindle.
And what was the author's name and the book name?
Krishna Mohan Ganguly. Probably Rajesh can get a PDF. It is there. I think it is available in.
Yeah, it's available. Be in archive.org also.
Yeah, might have it.
Is that easy to read, this particular translation?
It's easy to read, but it won't. The negativity of that the negative side of that translation is it is not connecting with the Sanskrit book. So sometimes what happens is these translations are fuzzy. So that's where I was trying to read it properly. But don't worry, I'll give you a summary in between, right? Every chapter. And if there is any spiritual teaching, I'll bring it out in some sessions.
I see one by Kesari Mohan Ganguly. Is it Krishna or Kesari?
Oh, that would be Kesari. Like there is only one Ganguly. So just to give you the story, Mahabharata has 100,000 verses, and it was evolved into 3 different versions in India. One is there is a Calcutta version, and there is a Bombay version or Pune version, and there is a Kumbhakonam version, which is the South Indian version. And now, actually, in 80s, these scholars try to reconcile it and reconciled into one common version, and that's what we are studying. It has almost 90,000 verses. So this has the size of Iliad and Homer, means Odyssey put together times 4.
Combined, yeah.
Can you imagine?
Is this
It's
the
only about
Mahabharata of Krishna Dvaipaniya?
No, not that one. Not that one.
Not that one.
It is, if you search for Kisari, Kisari Mohan Ganguly.
Yeah.
There is one for, it's actually $3.50 for me, but it might be different. Like
Yeah, Kindle, you get different prices every day. But I just saw that and I just brought it and I started reading it.
Yeah, I found it. It's $1.99 actually.
Yeah, Adi Parva I started, which is like there's a lot of good discussions in Mahabharata. So we will bring that out.
So it goes by sloka?
No, it's just a freehand text. Let me share it and show it to you. Let me just share the screen. So share. So let me go to my Kindle. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
It's available in the Gutenberg.org website.
Is it the same one?
Yeah, it's the same one. Because it's open source now.
Okay, yeah. So I like to read in Kindle because
Kindle is good.
So this is my Kindle. Oh my God, it's stuck. You can see what I'm reading right now. It's Quran.
No, we only see. Is that what we see? Yeah, the Quran. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Quran. So being the month of Ramadan, I was trying to read.
Book is this from Rajesh?
I posted the link in the Zoom chat.
The screen.
I see it.
Yeah. Oh my God, I cannot open.
Open a new tab or close Kindle and then reopen it.
Okay, so why is this? Why am I not able to go to the paper?
It's 18 volumes.
Yeah. And those who know Malayalam, there is a beautiful site. I'll show you that. There is a, while the Kindle is active, I will show you. There is a wiki site for Malayalam, so you can get the Malayalam translation of that. So I'll post those link. Somehow the Kindle is not working.
Sure.
Rajeshji, I had heard that there is a, not sure if it's a translation, but there is a Buri edition of Mahabharata. And there is an author called Bibek Debroy. He's also available on Amazon, but his books are more expensive.
Yeah.
Say like Bibek Debroy's Mahabharata is very comprehensive.
Okay.
It's a very long read.
Yeah. So see, I've created a OneNote. I'm putting all the important shlokas there, notes there. So in between, I'll bring it out. So in between, we can do some, if there is a nice teaching to share, I will definitely share. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. So stay safe. We will talk later this week. Otherwise, the Bhagavad Gita we'll see next week. So please, Rajesh will send out the flyer for the Atma Bodha. Please pass it around and invite your friends.
Thanks, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you.